Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, Anthony AKA IceyLalo, and I know it's been a whole month and I haven't put out a video because a lot had happened in September, because by the time this video out it'll be October. Right now it's September 30th, tomorrow's October 1st. And I'm making that up by putting another video out in October, which will be what had happened in September, which was when I went to Vegas and I went to go see my idol, Jennifer Lopez, at her All I Have show in Planet Hollywood. So I have videos of that and I really want to share that on my YouTube channel. So I got to edit that and stuff. But once I do, yeah, I'll definitely post it on my YouTube channel so you guys can check it out. It was the most amazing, epic night ever. But I don't want to get too much into that right now. I'll definitely wait for that in the next video. But let me just kind of get straight to it, I guess. So this video is basically the part 2 of my Prince Charms. But I'm going to call it attempted suicide because that's what the main thing of this video is about. And I know it was just Suicide Awareness Month in September. So it's just perfect timing of how my story goes. And let me just put this out here right now. I've been getting a lot of comments or feedback saying that my videos are too long, or I'm not getting straight to it in my videos. But let me just remind everyone, and remind even myself, that my videos are for me primarily. Like, that's these videos, my YouTube channel is dedicated to myself. You know, this is something for myself to look back on, like a journal. You know, this is like a diary in some way. And you know, and then secondary, it's for everyone else, whoever wants to watch. I much appreciate it, and I'm grateful for all the views that I have and likes and comments and all that. But I am not the typical YouTuber. I'm doing this my own way. You know, it doesn't have to be 15 minutes or an hour. For me, I think it's 30 minutes is a perfect time. So that's what it is. So let's get to it. My last video was Who is Lalo, which was kind of introducing my alter ego, the good side of me. Because I had forgot that part, because it was like the beginning. My Prince Charmed part 1 was like the beginning of how I met my first boyfriend and what happened, and then it just kind of fell apart. But during that process, I did find the good side of me, which was Lalo, you know, and that's who I wanted to introduce you guys to. But I didn't get to finish the story. It was like, I basically had skipped that Lalo part. That's why I'm doing that. And now this video is going to be about what happened with me and him to this day, and where did the attempted suicide come in. So let me kind of finish the story. So yeah, it was bad when he moved back to Vegas and we stopped talking, and you know, I thought that was it, and I was really heartbroken. It's your first boyfriend, you know, our first relationship, and it was a lot to deal with, especially for all the love. I do believe I genuinely loved him a lot, you know. It wasn't just like some kind of puppy love or crush, it was definitely love. And yeah, so when I made a decision to break up with him, it was hard because my family didn't go along with that decision. They didn't respect that decision. You know, they just kind of took it like, well, you could break up with him, but he's still going to be a part of our lives. Which I understand that now, but at that time I didn't. Like, I felt like it was, to me, I took it as a betrayal because of the heartbreak he gave me. I thought my family was going to be, you know, ride with me with that, you know, but unfortunately they didn't at that time. So I really felt lost and like confused, and at times I thought I was even crazy for thinking that way, because I would kind of explain this situation to certain friends or other family members, and they'll be like, yeah, like, why can't your mom or sisters be friends with him? Like, what's wrong with that? And then I would have other people be like, no, that's wrong. Like, did you tell them how that makes you feel? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And they just kind of like, you know, we're picking him, you know. It was like they were picking him instead of me. And I started drinking more at this time, because I was already drinking. Like I said, I was 15, 16 when I started drinking, and I know I had an alcohol problem, so it did get worse during this time. Like, it was really bad. So let's see what had happened. So I at this time, what had happened? I was living with my dad. I'm trying to think of the story timeline. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Okay, so I know how. So I was living with my dad. Me and my sister were living with my dad, and I had got into it with my dad. We got into a big argument, which led me to move out, and I moved in with my mom, who was living with my sister's kid's dad's grandma at the time. And me and my sister moved in with her. And this was the time she was still, writing and talking to Charms, because Charms had got locked up at this time. And I won't say what he did. I'm not going to talk about his case to protect his name and everything. I'm not giving out his real name. His name was Charms. But yeah, he was locked up. And when I found out he was locked up, I was happy at the time. I was just like, well, that's instant karma. I was heartbroken. So in my mind, I thought like, okay, now that he's away, my family would probably let it go and leave him alone. But unfortunately, they didn't. If anything, they always talked about him all the time when I was around them. And I kind of didn't have a choice because I was living with my mom and my sisters. And it was like, it hurt me when they would talk about him all the time when I was around them, especially when I was around them. Because they know how I felt about it, and they just... I'm sorry, I keep looking at my screen instead of the lens. I got a new phone, by the way. Hopefully this looks really good. It's the Galaxy S9 Plus. Anyways, because a lot of people want to know what I record my videos. It's just my phone. So, yeah. So I was basically just biting my tongue, just holding it in, not letting my emotions get the best of me. Like maybe they'll leave him alone. Eventually it's time. But they just kept writing him, and he'd write back, and it was just like... So one night, before I get into that night, this was also a time when I was living with my mom and other family members. Before I moved out of my dad's, when we got into the argument, I've always heard the name Marilyn Monroe, right? I mean, I'm sure everyone knows who Marilyn Monroe is, or might think they have an idea of who she is. So my dad had this beach towel in his room, and it was Marilyn Monroe. And I've seen her picture before, and I was just like, she's famous, but what is she famous for? I didn't know. I would ask people, and they'd be like, I don't know, she's like sexy or something, or she was like a sex symbol, and she was hot back in the 50s, 60s. And I just feel like there's more to the story. I was like, no, there's more about this girl. Like, I'm curious. I'm interested in know why she died, what happened, And so I didn't have a phone at this time, and I didn't really have internet access, so I started going to the library a lot. And I was checking out books about her, like biographies, and not only books that people had wrote about her, but books that she had wrote about her. Not books like storytelling, but book like they had journals and things that she wrote all the time, and they basically just had it in a book. I forgot what the book was called, but it was so interesting. And I just became more addicted and more fascinated with her. It was just really intriguing to know her story and to know, where she came from, why she became famous, how she thought of herself, And as I was reading and getting to know her more, I started, like, it almost felt like if I was reading my own story. How she felt very self-conscious about herself, and how she always felt like they need to be perfect, they need to impress people, they need to make people love her in some way or another, and I felt that especially at that time in my life, and she was she didn't know how to cope with it most of the time, especially with the fame and everything. I'm not saying I'm famous or whatever, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I how do you say it? I just related to a lot of the way she thought of herself, basically. And I became so infatuated. I even got her, her name tatted, right? Or it's her signature autograph on my arm. And I mean, that everybody was like, wow, you're a really dedicated fan. That's dedication right there. And I'm like, it's not only that, it's just her story is my story. And, I also noticed patterns that we had, and I know something that she did a lot that helped her cope with a lot of the things that she was going through was drugs and alcohol. And Specifically, she used to drink champagne and sleeping pills. That was like her mix. You know, like she would always take sleeping pills with a glass of champagne or with a bottle of champagne. And I noticed that I was drinking a lot at that time, and I started taking sleeping pills as well. And that was like my night routine. You know, I would pop a pill, drink a bottle of wine, alcohol, some kind of liquor, and go to sleep. Hope to go to sleep, because I used to have really bad insomnia at that time too. And you know, I was going through depression. I felt like I couldn't really be myself or tell what I wanted to tell, because I felt like my family would look at me as if I was wrong, you know, for me feeling that way. It was like I was screaming inside, you know, no one could hear me, no one could. At that time, I felt like I honestly didn't have anybody. Like, not even my best friend, my best friend Angel, which is my aunt, or my best friend Gabriel couldn't save me at that time. It was like the only person I felt like that would understand me was Marilyn Monroe, and she wasn't alive. And I don't know, it was just. So one night, I remember my best friend Angel came to pick me up, and we were just gonna go hang out, have some drinks with friends, or you know, just catch up on everything, because we had lived really far apart at this time, because I used to live really close to her when I was living with my dad, but then I moved with my mom, and she lived really far from my best friend, so we didn't really have a lot of time to hang out. So but she knew I was going through what I was going through, you know. And so yeah, she took and she picked me up one night, and we went to go hang out. We went to a friend's house, and we drank, you know, we drank a lot. And I got really drunk, but before I got really drunk, she told me, she said, I don't want you, what did she say? I don't want you to go crazy on me tonight, or don't get crazy on me tonight. You know, like, meaning like, don't get emotional, don't get aggressive or angry, just relax. I'm here, and everything's gonna be okay, you know. And I just remember drinking so much at this party we went to, and then after that I guess we went to her house, but I don't remember leaving the party to her house. And then we get to her house, and we kept drinking more, and it was just me and her at the house by ourselves. And I started getting really emotional and aggressive. That's what I always had. That was my problem, you know. I was an alcoholic. And by this time I was like, just so for the record, I was like 20 or 21, and I have something that I am going to post on my Instagram that I wanted to share. I kept from that time, from that night. So basically we had a big bottle of Sky vodka, like the really big tall bottles, and it was like maybe like 75% full. And she had invited her friend over to come hang out with us and drink, and he was a really cool friend, he was a cool guy. And she, like, they would go and drink like outside or something, talk, and I would be inside the kitchen drinking by myself, like the bottle just like straight up, like I wasn't even making mixed drinks anymore, it was just like pure vodka. And I remember I was getting so emotional where I even called up my mom or my sisters, and I was just going off. Like, I couldn't. I felt like that was the last time I wanted to talk to them. I was planning to literally, you know, take my life that night. Because I felt like there was no reason to live anymore. And it was so difficult, because I literally felt like nobody reached out to me. Nobody asked me if I'm okay. They didn't ask, you know, what I was going through. The only person I knew was my best friend, but I felt like she could only do so much, you know. And my friend Gabe, like, he was in and out of my life all the time because of me. It wasn't like he wanted to, as I kept pushing him away and bringing him back and pushing him away, which will be another video. But yeah, I remember I went off on them, and I just kept drinking, and I guess she heard me on the phone yelling, so she came inside, and she's like, who are you talking to? And I was like, oh, I just started cussing out, and she goes, give me the phone. So she got the phone, and I remember her telling them, like, oh, Anthony's just drunk, and then automatically my mom, my sister thought, like, oh, my best friend was getting me drunk and maybe telling me to tell them things, and if anything, she was telling them, like, oh, he's drunk, don't worry about what he's saying to you guys, he's just really mad and irritated and hurt right now, and it'll be okay in the morning, So my friend my best friend and her friend, they went to her room, and then I went to the office in the house, and I went online because I didn't have a phone. I went on the computer, the desktop, and I went on was it MySpace? No, no, it was Facebook. It was Facebook, and I started just kind of pouring out feelings, saying whatever I wanted to say because I felt like I wasn't gonna see the light of the next day. Like that was it. There was not gonna be no more breathing after that night. For me, I planned it. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and no one was gonna stop me. So I had the bottle with me. I remember just holding on to it, and I just kept drinking. And I was drinking so much to the point where while I was drinking the bottle, it was coming back out. Like my body was literally rejecting it. Like I was throwing up as I was drinking at the same time. It was the weirdest feeling. I've never had that happen to myself. Like I was getting mad. I was like, no, stay in. Like I wanted the alcohol to like poison me basically. And then I went to the bathroom and took all these sleeping pills. It wasn't like sleeping pills, but they're like just Benadryl and PM medicines, and just trying to mix it with the alcohol. And then and I was posting stuff like how I wanted to be buried, and just I really thought it was the end, and I all of a sudden I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. Like my breathing was slowing, my chest was getting really tight. I felt like my body was becoming numb. Like my brain was like, not my brain, but like vision, like my head was like really dizzy to where everything was just like fading in and out, like, blacking out basically. And at that moment I realized like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Like as soon as I felt myself going under, it was like I reached out to someone, whoever was online at the time, which was one of my friends. His name was Ian, or his name's Paul, but we called him Ian, and he worked with my mom. That's how we met him. He was like my mom's coworker. And he saw my post that I was posting. He's like, "What the hell? Are you okay? Like, why are you posting all of these crazy things? Do you need help? Where are you?" And like he was the only one that kind of like took me seriously at that moment, And I don't know how, but I typed him the address where I was at. Like I literally, I might have pushed other buttons, and he maybe tried to figure it out or something. But thank God he made that 911 call. And all of a sudden I remember people were knocking on the front door, and I heard it because the office was right by the front door, and I looked out the window and there was lights. And I crawled to the front door, and I opened it, and there were paramedics and police officers, and they were like, "Are you okay? We have a call from Ian. Are you attempting suicide? This and that." And I couldn't talk. Like I felt like I was talking, but the words weren't making sense. Like I couldn't breathe, and I think that's what I kept saying. I was like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't." Like I was trying to catch my air, and I think I collapsed, or I might have like started to fall over, and one of the police officers caught me, and they started walking me outside towards like the street, like the driveway, and it was just it was blurry. Like there was like some things I remember, some things I don't remember, and I think there was a helicopter, there was a fire truck, there was an ambulance, and they kept asking me, they're like, "Do you need to be taken to the hospital? What did they say? Do you want to get in the ambulance?" And I was like, "Yeah." It didn't make sense. It almost felt like a dream at that moment, because I couldn't even function right. I couldn't even think right. And then I got into the ambulance, and they were taking me, and they put an oxygen mask because they saw that I couldn't breathe anymore. They took me to a hospital. I don't remember getting into the hospital. I remember getting into the ambulance, and all of a sudden I open my eyes, and then I'm in the hospital. Like, I don't remember the whole process of them taking me out of the ambulance and putting me on a bed and then taking me to... I don't remember any of that. It was all blacked out for me. And Um, so I woke up, and sometimes I felt like I was dreaming it. Sometimes like it was like I was hearing voices. I heard doctors asking me questions like, why are you trying to kill yourself? And they later on they had told me, like, I kept saying something about my mom, that she's crazy, and that I'm not crazy. And they said you kept repeating that. Oh, and I kept peeing a lot. I guess my body was literally like just drain all the alcohol, like, bad. Like, they said they had to keep, like, every 10-15 minutes bringing in a one of those bottle things where you pee in, and it was bad. And then they had someone watch me. I guess I was on suicide watch. And um but yeah, I woke up, and I don't know if it was still night or if it was morning or if it was afternoon. I think it was like when I could have thought, like, focus finally, it was like 4 in the afternoon. And then it hit me when I realized, like, wow, why hasn't nobody found me yet? Why hasn't anybody called? Or and I couldn't really contact anyone because I didn't know anyone's number. I didn't even know what hospital I was at. Like, it was an awful feeling, not knowing that nobody, like, cared. It was just like it continued as I became sober to realize, like, what the reality of what was happening. And then a doctor came in, and he asked me if I wanted to be, what do you call it, basically sent to rehab. And I said no. I said I'm not crazy. I'm not going into a psychiatry institute. Like, I'm not. I don't want to do that. I was like, I just want to go home. And they're like, well, no one is called. And then finally, I think an hour after that, it was like 5 or 6 in the afternoon, evening, I guess. My best friend was there to pick me up, who was the one where I was, my best friend Angel. And she helped me, like, what do you call it, like, when you leave the hospital, they give you all these papers and everything, because I still felt like I couldn't function. It was like I was drunk, but I was a little bit sober to function. Basically, the doctor had told me, when I did wake up, they told me, like, hey, buddy, you almost got to alcohol poisoning. Luckily, your friend, whoever called 911, we got there in time, because you almost lost your breathing from the alcohol poisoning. So yeah, that was my attempted suicide. And I remember my friend picking me up, and she didn't say nothing to me. She was quiet, and we went out to her car in the parking lot, just quiet. I didn't even know what to say. And we sat down in the car. We got in the car, and she just kind of said quietly, like, we can never drink again, or we can never drink together again, or again together, something like that. And that's all she said. We drove home, and then, or we drove to her house, and then she gave me medicine and soda to help me feel better, water and all this and that. And that night, my dad came to pick me up, and my dad asked me if I wanted to move back with him, because he had found out what had happened. He didn't know I was alcoholic. He didn't know the stuff I was going through, because we weren't on good terms at that time. But thank God he came to the rescue. My dad is also another person that saved me at that time in my life, because after that night, I didn't drink another drop of alcohol. And my dad took me in, and it was just me and him. I lived with him by myself, and he got me a job to work with him. And slowly, one step at a time, I was getting my life together. And I told my dad, like, I need help, and I don't want to drink anymore, and I want to be better, and I want to live healthier and live happier. And my dad's like, I'm gonna help you. And my dad did. When he drank around, he wouldn't drink around, because he used to drink beers and stuff, and he wouldn't drink that around me. And when I was craving the urge, he was just like, no, you're doing good. You can keep going. You can keep doing this. So thank you, Dad. If you ever watch this, I just want to say thank you so much. Like, you came at the perfect time, and I'm just glad that I got out of that, because that was hard. And if you're an alcoholic and you're suffering with that, or if you're going through thinking of suicide or depression, just know that you can get through this. And if you feel like you have no one, you have me. If you watch this video, you can comment, or but I believe if I can do it, you can do it, especially at a young age. young kids don't make it far these days. You know, as soon as they want to hurt themselves, they go through with it, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, just thank you, Dad. I love you for that. Yeah. So after that, it was a whole year I didn't have alcohol, and I'm proud of myself for saying that. And earlier this year, I decided that I'm actually gonna stop drinking alcohol completely when I turn 30. I'm 28 right now, so I have some time to turn up and enjoy my alcohol. And I'm doing it because I do want to live healthier. I do want to keep my youth, and I don't want it to come out in a negative way where I feel like, oh, I'm better than anyone else. I don't feel like I have to drink to have a good time. You know, I don't want it to come off like that. I just want it to come off that I am making a commitment to do something good for myself, and I want to go through with it. And I believe I can. I feel like I drank so much at a young age, and I feel like I don't care for it anymore. I'm getting closer to that point where I don't care for it. But I do smoke marijuana, and I'm not giving that up. I don't smoke all the time. I smoke occasionally, but that's something I won't give up. So yeah, I lived with my dad for a while, and then my sisters ended up moving in, and you know, I talked to my mom, my sisters about everything, and they, I guess they didn't, that was a wake-up call for them, you know. Not that they stopped talking to him right there, and my ex-boyfriend Charms at the time, but they did realize like what pain they were putting me through. I felt that way, and even if they didn't apologize, or they still didn't apologize to this day, I did forgive them, because it wasn't what I thought it was. I kept thinking in my head like they were picking him over me, and it wasn't that at all. Charms was and is a good person, and I just want to put that for the record. And after that, I did start talking to him again, and we were writing each other, and you know, slowly but surely we're getting in each other's lives again. And I was, you know, he was becoming a part of my life again, and everything was good from that time until now. And I just want to make an announcement. I think my family probably already figured it out. But this year I made a decision to stop talking to him, to Charms. And not because of he's locked up in prison for a long time. And not that he's a bad person. I just believe that we have grown apart, me and Charms. Like me and my best friends, or people that are in my past. And not in a bad way. I feel like the more I'm learning to love myself, the more I'm realizing what I deserve. You know, and I deserve to be happy, and I deserve to be around people who are gonna make me happy, or who are gonna make me better. And you know, unfortunately, me and Charms just see things differently now, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I honestly wish him the best, and I'm okay. I have no regret with leaving him, because I know that if my family does love him as much as they say they do, I'm sure they'll be there for him no matter what. And I love that. It took me a long time to get to that point, but I do. And that's what that is. So we're almost coming towards the end of this video. I just want to say thank you for everyone for continuing to support me on my YouTube channel, watching my giving me views, watching my videos. If some of these videos don't make sense, you can always start from the beginning, and the story's just going, you know, in order, chronological order. So my next video is gonna be, it's not gonna be like a video like this. It's gonna be a video of like the show I went to go see in Vegas, which was the best night of my life, if I didn't mention that. But I do want to elaborate on that too, because honestly that was a dream come true. And so I do want to share some of the clips of the show that I went to go see in Vegas. Jennifer Lopez's All I Have show. So yeah, we're here at the end of I already said that at the end of the video. I just want to remind everyone, you know, don't forget to learn to love yourselves, because that's honestly the key to happiness, you know. And if you ever need someone to talk to, if you're going through, you have me, and don't give up. It gets better. Sometimes it gets worse to get better, but it does. Believe that. Have faith. It's gonna be okay. So I guess I will see you next time. And like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, love you guys. Take care. Amate.